Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, author of Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life and host of this podcast, Incredible Life Creator. And today I have with me Ayo Nova. Hey, Ayo.
Hello, Kimberly.
So excited to see you again. We had you in the podcast a few years ago, and you have done a lot of things in that little bit of time we've been apart. And
Yes.
now you have a phenomenal new book for females. So excited to talk about it.
Yeah, things have catapulted quite a lot. I think we spoke, as you said, 3 years ago. I have opened a couple of new companies. So for those who maybe saw the previous interview at that time, I had a coaching business at a marketing agency. Now I have a couple of other businesses. I'm doing a startup as well in the tech world. I have managed to hit multiple seven figures since then. So the growth is like exponential. Well, the team has quadrupled. Like we have so many people in the team. Also a book that just came out, The Future of, we were holding it so cute in the beginning. The Future of Business is Female, which hit number 10 in the very competitive space of women in business, which makes me super happy. And so many other amazing things have been happening in the past 3 years. It's really, when I look back, I'm like, how did all of this happen in 3 years time? Like, I think I quantum leaped. Before, when people will say, oh, I want a quantum leap. And I was just like, nah, what are you talking about quantum leaping? Now I know what's quantum leaping for sure.
Mhm. So the rest of us would like to know, how does that happen? What are some factors or variables you think that helped you to do that? Was it just totally changing what you were doing? Was it associating with different people, with different places?
Right. So the first and most important thing is I had to remove myself from situations and partnerships and businesses that didn't allow me to grow as much as I want and the way I wanted things to happen. And I often say that, sometimes it is not you, it's the environment that you're in, and you got to put yourself in a better environment. So that was number one. Number two was that I became very clear on exactly who I am, what I want, and how I'm going to be positioned in the industry. And I also became very clear what kind of businesses I want to run and how I want to run these businesses. So that helped a lot. And then the third thing was definitely having a very solid team. So right now my team is completely brand new team of amazing women who just support me unconditionally, 1,000%. Like I literally had two surgeries this year and I didn't even like had to do anything. They were there 1,000% of the time. They were so powerful. They see the business as their business. They see my mission as their mission, which is really important. So these three factors were definitely contributing a lot. But if I need to also add is also being able to pivot fast, being able to bounce back fast, and being able to be on top of what the market wants. And so what I'm seeing a lot in the past few years is a lot of people are clinging to old business models, what used to sell 3 5 years ago, and they're coming to me and they're like, it's not working. And I'm like, of course it's not. Like even every single industry that you see, it's going through different changes, whether if it's real estate or the car industry or insurance, any healthcare. Like if you look, what do people buy the same medicine that they used to buy 10 years ago now? No, they're going and they're looking for better solutions, better treatments, better everything. So I think that these are just a few of the things. People sometimes want to have just one fix and one solution. And I think it is the compound effect of a number of things done in the right way at the right time for the right reason.
So going back to like your team, so it does take time to find the right team, but once you do, how do you inspire them to get behind your mission and how help them understand what their piece is in it?
So the problem is in the question itself. I think that if you go with how do I inspire my team, that's a problem. The team has to be inspired already, or else I don't want you in my world. The team has to already have the same vision. If I'm trying to get you on board, we're too late. So the top companies, I've coached Fortune 500 companies, and I've coached really, really big players out there. We're talking about companies like Microsoft and Apple and National Geographic. These people, these companies, they don't hire people who need to be inspired to work for the organization. They are already inspired. It is just about finding the right kind of a person who you can already see and you can determine. And with me, the vision is very clear. Like, I want to empower women, I want to improve women's lives. So it's really clear. And if you don't have the same inspiration in life, then I'm not here to inspire you. Then go find a job that is already inspiring for you. There's plenty of places you can find. So that was one of the mistakes in my previous companies, was getting people for the sake to get people that we kind of know they can do the job, and then inspiring them to continue doing the job. And that's not a good start. The people already have to be inspired, they have to be motivated to do the job, and then the rest is a bonus. So me just being a good leader, me showing up for them, me being a decent human being. For example, my girls, they don't have to work on their periods every single month. We track when is somebody going to get their period, and we give them 2 3 days on their period. No excuse. You don't need to tell me anything. You just need to tell me my period came, and we have a solution. That's why, by the way, I do have now, besides the team that is in-house, I have a lot of contractors. So if something happens, like literally the other day, one of my team members was like, I have a really bad cough. I can't work today. Take your time. That's okay. Okay, who do we have? We have this and this person. Let's message them. Let's message 2 3 people. Can they jump in and do this task today and tomorrow because XYZ is not there? So that's one of the things. I also make sure that people are heard and understood, which is something that has been a journey for me to do that and understand how to do that properly. And again, having people in my team who want me to win, because I've worked with people who deep inside, they didn't want me to win. And no matter how hard we were trying, whatever we were trying, they just didn't have that feeling in them. So now all of my team members are literally women who want me to win. We are very close. We are friends. I wouldn't say that I've crossed a lot the boundary between a leader and a friend, because sometimes it is tough to work with your very close friend or a best friend because you cannot honestly tell them how you feel. But fortunately, here we have very good relationship. We're very close, but we know how to take criticism.
Mhm. That is awesome. So, you talked earlier about trends and pivoting with the trends. So, I guess a couple questions. How do you find out what those trends are? I don't think it's just looking at Google Trends, like everyone tells you. Um, and then how do you find that new place?
Well, you track buyers' behavior, you track psychology, and for that purpose, you also use tools that help you to track things. So, for example, we track how people open emails. When do they opt out of the funnels? How much do they read? And so, first, we have a lot of information on the fact that people no longer read, for example, long emails. They don't want to read long emails. Then we also notice that people, for example, we listen to people. And I say this all the time, listen to your customer, because they will share the trend. So what's new, what's coming up, what's changing in the client's behavior. One of the things will be, for example, they have way shorter attention span. So we got to make sure that they are no longer receiving, for example, when I see people stacking on programs and programs and programs. And they're like, I have more than 3,000 programs that I offer. And I tell this to all of my clients. I'm like, that's not a good thing anymore. Back in the days, people used to look for volume and be like, oh my gosh, I get 10 extra programs. They know now they cannot watch that. So they've been there. So we listen to people. We also check what's happening on social media. So I consume social media in a very smart way. I'm not just there to dead scroll. I still do watch a lot of cat videos. I need to admit that. But I'm not just there to watch anything on social media. I'm there to listen as well to other experts and what they're sharing. So, for example, just now I was watching, I have a favorite creator in the real estate space, especially in Dubai, and I watch her stuff and she's sharing, trends of how people are buying, how is the market changing, what are people looking for? People are no longer looking for this or this, but they're looking for different things. And so it's extremely important when you have a business to listen to the feedback of people. So what we also do is we will also send questionnaires to especially people that we work with one on one or very close. So it's not just somebody who bought one course. Yes, it's great for us to hear back from you, but also people who consume the service a lot for a longer period of time. And we just implement. For example, this year, I did something in March. We sat down and I re-looked at a list with products that people asked me for the past few months. They will be like, "Oh, do you have a resource on that? Do you have a resource on this? Do you have?" And I took notes because we were not able to create these resources and products back then. But now we had in March, and we did that, and I think we created extra 30 tiny little offers and we're crushing it. I just, for example, did a story this morning. I'm waking up to like dozens and dozens and dozens of passive sales that are happening and I'm sleeping.
Mhm.
And it was because of that, because we listened to what people want and we just delivered. That's the most important thing. Just listen and consume mindfully and you will thrive in business if you do that.
All right. Now, talking about your book, you said, your mission is to help women live, thrive, be abundant. Um, Talk about the book. What are we going to find when we go there?
Well, you're gonna find a lot of things in the book because I mindfully build it to be a very resourceful tool for women to create striving businesses. So the name of the book is The Future of Business is Female. And I said a lot with this name because I knew it will trigger a lot of people. And it did trigger some people. They were like, why just female? Because it's time for us to take the revolution to the next step. So a lot of people say, "Oh, what do women still need? They have it all. Everybody has the same rights," and that's not the case. So what we're actually noticing is that yes, compared to 50 years ago, potentially things might look a little bit, and they look really a little bit, not that much better. They look a little bit better compared to 50 years ago, but there's still so much work to do. And unfortunately, if we continue in some areas with the same pace, it will take us about 300 years. I personally don't have 300 years. And so it's almost like, when you're an employee in a company, it kind of looks like things are going well, and next thing you know, the next day the boss says we have bankrupted. So it's pretty much the same here. It kind of looks on the surface because of news and media that things are going better, but actually in some sectors it's not going better. What we're seeing is a lot of women who are very much struggling in the workforce because they want to have families. They want to also be promoted, and it's really difficult to find the work-life balance still for women because women still are the main caregivers, not just for the kids, but they're the main caregivers for their husband as well, and also for their parents. So now we have all these silent jobs of an average woman who goes to work and she works her ass off. Then she comes home and then she needs to cook, clean, take care of the kids, take care of the husband, and take care of the parents. So now she does three or four jobs, and now she's burnt out because now she wants to get that promotion and get more money because she deserves it. But the system is built in a way that actually the research proves that women have to work harder for a promotion compared to men. Men get promoted way easier than women. So we're left with the question, what are we doing? Because we pushed so hard the last 20 years for equality, for diversity, for encouraging companies to hire women, but it's not working. And so what are we doing? So one of the solutions, until we wait for society to start understanding that women are not men without penises. We're just not. We're built in a very different way. We work in a different way. So you cannot offer the same working environment for women and men understanding our lives. So until we wait for society to do that, and again, I told you it could take 300 years. That's a lot of time, right? What we can do is we can build businesses as women. So it's really important to understand that a lot of women build businesses like men. I've been there as well. Like 3 years ago, if you asked me, I would was building a business like a man. Now, a lot of people, when I say that, think, oh, she's going to talk about feminine energy. Not at all. So it's about understanding how you perform work. First and foremost, we are cyclical beings. So, what does this mean? How do you show up in business? We also need to understand women have very specific traits that make us very different than men in leadership and business. We can count on communication way more than men. We can count way more on emotional intelligence. We're a little bit more risk averse, so we don't want to take risks, but actually, that is very positive because we eliminate bankruptcy, for example. So, we have all these amazing qualities to us that we need to understand that are not weakness, they are making us so much more powerful. We also need to understand what's holding us back still. And a lot of the things are external things that exist in society, but they translate into your psychology and your brain. I also speak a lot about the female brain. I have a whole chapter on the female brain and how biology is actually make us really different than men. A lot of women don't use their female gender specifics in business, which are really important, like intuition, for example. We're very detail focused, which is another plus in business. We also like to take decisions from a very holistic point of view. So we like to zoom out and see the full picture while men zoom in. And by the way, when I speak about women in business, that doesn't mean excluding men because we do need men. Because, for example, when a woman zooms out way too much, she sees too much detail, and then you need to zoom back in again. So men in this point, in a team, we balance each other with the different aspects that we have. So the book is really a holistic, it is very female written because it includes so many different aspects. It includes what's holding us back, how are we programmed, our psychology as women, and how does this show up in business, our biology, like our brains, and how is this showing up in business, and also how can we make business a little bit more simple for women, because science proves that our brains work in a way that is a little bit more complicated just because we need to be alert the whole time. That's why, for example, women need a little bit more sleep because we use our brains more for being alert. We are not men. It's easy for them. They can just hit you and that's done because they have so much physical power. Listen, I go to jiu-jitsu and I fight men. It's so hard. It's so hard. People say technique is better than physical power. Listen, my coach is almost 100 kilos. That's almost 200 pounds.
Mhm.
I'm 55 kilo. I'm like half of his weight. He lifts me like a dumbbell, like this.
Yes.
But here is where intuition comes. Like I feel his next move. This is where details come. Me being faster, me trying to avoid the risk that comes. So all of these things I can tell, I can talk hours and hours and hours about the book, but the book has so much information about just how incredible it is to be a woman. I often say I love being a woman. It's literally one of the best things. Yesterday, I don't know what I was doing. I was doing something on my face, like putting makeup or something like that. And I was like, that's so fun. I love being a woman.
That's true. We get to do so many different things. We're not just
Right.
focused on one thing all the time. So that does make it fun and interesting and also surprising because people don't always know what we're going to do. Like you said, the intuition
Yeah,
makes it so we can make moves that men can't always make.
exactly. And we, as I said, because our brain was designed in a slightly different way, and it's also our brain is affected by different hormones. You know, and you are a doctor, so you know that we operate based on different hormones. Like our chemistry is different. It's like imagine, you have two cars competing, one is electric and one is petrol. It's slightly different, right? It's not the same experience, and probably the speed might vary as well. And so it's really important to understand that and take the best out of it from both worlds, both female and male.
So how do we work with our cycles? How do we work with our cycles for um uh not just productivity, but actually flourishing, like getting things done,
Yeah.
but enjoying the journey and not burning out?
This is the number one hack. So even if you are a woman who doesn't have her period and you're listening, you can still work in a cyclical way if you sync with the moon. So before I dive into details, do not check out if you're perimenopausal, menopausal, or postmenopausal. You still sync with the moon in cycles because this is something really important that women need to understand. Our lives are based on a cyclical experience. Even your 24-hour span goes in a cycle, whereas the man goes in a tiny little almost flat line, like tick, 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 and it goes straight. We are like this the whole time. Actually, it is like that, but when you look at it, it's a cycle. It's a cycle, up and down, up and down, up and down. So for me, first and foremost, it's really important for you to start understanding your period and track your symptoms. This will take you some time. You will not be able to sync your life and your period tomorrow. It might take 6 months, it might take a full year. What you really need to understand that this is your internal GPS. And it's so funny, we understand our phones, like iOS, you understand the operational system of your phone, or if it's an Android or your laptop, you understand it so much better than your internal GPS. Period is your period. Your menstruation, your menses is the most important thing about your health and how are you feeling. And also, it is a massive productivity element that you need to understand. So, first, we're going to start with you tracking how you feel in the different phases. We have 4 phases. I'm not going to go into the details. We have 4 phases. One is when you are bleeding. So, in your bleed, after the bleed, I think it's the follicular. Sorry, it's always so hard for me to pronounce it. We have luteal phase, and we have which was the other one? 4 in total. We have 4. Sorry, starting to get tired. It's almost
Right.
Christmas,
Mhm.
so we have 4 phases. You need to track how are you feeling in all of the 4 phases of your period. What is your overall mood. How is your body feeling, right? How are you operating during these four phases of your period, of your cycle, of your menstrual cycle? What is happening? Ovulation just came back. What is happening in these? So normally in your menstruation phase, this is the time when you're in your bleed. This is the moment when you have to be absolutely super gentle with yourself. Ideally, take rest. So, what changed in my world from the last time we spoke? I actually started taking days off on my period. This comes with understanding it when it's going to come. So that's why I'm not a fan of the pill, for example, because I think it absolutely wrecks your system and your inner GPS. But when you are not on the pill, when you have your period coming when it should be coming, and it is coming periodically so you don't have big swings, you know when your period's gonna come, you can plan on your menstruation when you're bleeding to slow down, not to take a lot of calls, not to travel, not to push yourself too hard in the gym. Now, there are small exceptions with some women who actually get a lot of energy. Like I was talking to a client, she's like, I don't know what's happening. My period came. I'm crazy. I'm like lifting weights. I'm so productive. I'm doing all these things. And normally I tell women, if this is not your normal state, be careful because you might burn out because right now something else might happening. You might have a lot of adrenaline. Something might be happening in your life that is like you're not realizing and then you can crash. So let's have an agreement that when you are menstruating, you take more time to sleep. You eat slow carbs, so more sweet potato, brown rice. You eat a good steak. I hope for all the vegetarians. I don't know what you do. I used to be a vegetarian. I started eating meat. That actually really helped my periods as well. Then we have the phase that starts after the period. So that is the follicular phase. So what happens here is your energy starts coming back. This is a good time to go back into the business full force and be like, okay, what do I have going on? And when I say full phase, I don't mean 100%, go back like 80% in the business. So meetings again, traveling again, pushing harder in the gym, and you will notice how you feel. So it's really important for you to track how you feel. I am feeling the best in this phase. So I know I have a short window of about 10 days every single month when I push a little bit harder, have more calls, do more work, do more stuff. And people look at me and they're like, you're a motherfucking beast. Sorry for swearing. But it is really, I get so much energy in this phase, but that's because in my period, I was resting like 3 days. I was out. Like I was in bed. I was not having calls. I was taking it all nice and slow. I wasn't pushing myself in the gym. Even in the gym, they ask me, they're like, when do you have a rest day? And I'm like, normally the week of my period, that's when I don't train at all. That's because I know myself. So again, we're going back to knowing yourself. So after your period, great time for you to start new businesses, new projects, having these kind of activities that take a lot of your energy. Now, when you're ovulating, for me, this is also one of the most magic. Ovulation is our superpower for most of us. There's small exceptions of women who actually have they struggle around ovulation. So they might have 2, 3 days when they're nauseous, they vomit, they're not feeling well, they have cramps. It looks like a mini period. So if you're that kind of a woman who's struggling all around your ovulation, if you actually do ovulate, because some women don't. They skip a proper ovulation and then everything is mixed up. But I feel like when you tune into your body, I actually do, I literally kind of feel it when my body is dropping an egg. And so in your ovulation, you're so pretty, you're so magnetic. You're so sexy. You're so powerful. You're so sensual. Go for photo shoots. Go for conversations like that. I literally book my photo shoots around that face because my face is clear. I have zero blemishes or anything. I'm glowing. I'm so confident. Why? Why do you think this happens? And now we're going to tease men a little bit and give them some props because you have higher levels of testosterone when they slightly go just a little bit, but just a little bit up. The other period when we have higher levels of testosterone is by the way when we get our period. So when men say don't act like you're in your period, boy, I have a lot of testosterone. So watch out because you that's your department. So ovulation phase, this is when you launch. Like when women launch in their luteal phase, we're going to speak about this. It's coming now. I'm like, what are you doing? Do not do exhausting things when when you're in your period or in the luteal phase. In ovulation, launch, go and have that pitch with somebody. If you're pitching an investor, go and do it when you're ovulating. Potentially, if you can choose your date, right? Do it around ovulation. If you need to hire people, do it around ovulation. Again, because you're charismatic, you're like the charismatic coach. But if you need to make the decision, do it around your period because around your period, there's no bullshit. And you'll literally like, have this person cut. That's it because you're so ruthless around your period. Great time to edit a book when you're on your period. Trust me, I had to cut so many sentences that I felt like when I'm ovulating, oh, that sounds so cute. On my period reading it, I'm like, this is bullshit. Cutting in. It's so easy to cut stuff on your period. Now we're entering my favorite phase, the luteal phase, which used to be the phase that I hated the most. But there's beauty in this phase because there's darkness. There's this moment of things are going down. And I had issues around the luteal phase because I'll get super tired and I'll be like, what's going on with me? I'll be so fatigued. And I will even get serious mood swings. So I'll be unstoppable in the morning. And by the end of the day, I'll be like, I want to quit all of this. I just can't do it. And I didn't understand why until I understood that this is purely hormonal shifts. And it's almost like, you know, when you have the storm in the summer when it's too hot and then it hits. You can't do anything. Just stay a little bit in the storm. The storm will go away. And so now in my luteal phase, I'm more forgiving towards myself. I'm slower as well. I don't push myself that because I'm very extreme. I'm like, I either push myself so much and then I'm like, nobody should call. Nobody should call. Nobody should look for me. I'm done for like 2, 3 days. Do not even message me. So the luteal phase is a moment like that. But there's beauty because in the luteal phase, because you have this shifts in estrogen and progesterone, it actually affects your intuition. So you're very intuitive. This is a good time when you want to pivot, but you're like, I'm not sure if I want to do it. You will know in the luteal phase. This is the time to manifest things. This is the time to plant a desire and gestate it. This is the time to look at your business and actually be very honest with yourself. Is my business allowing me to take 1 or 2 days in my luteal phase if I don't feel the best? This is the time to also just look at some unfinished business and wrap it up because you won't be like, oh yeah, I have all the energy. You'll be like, no, thank you. Done. So as you can see, every single phase brings so much wisdom. And I've been using this for the past 2 years. The first year, so that's almost 4 years ago. So 3 years ago, I started experimenting. It wasn't very easy. It wasn't very easy. I couldn't always sync things, and I will see the difference. So if I stop all the heavy tasks on my period, I will have so much power in the next coming days. I will feel, and my luteal phase will be so much better, less pain, less, because I do get PMS, and my PMS will almost disappear like up to 10%. And if I don't rest on my period, oh, watch out the next time in the luteal phase. Like my PMS will kick in 10 days before then. I'll be like, oh, my back is sore. I'm tired. I didn't sleep well. So you have to, and I want to finish with that. I know I spoke too much here, but I'm going to wrap up with this. I went to this planning for top 7-figure CEOs with a very famous coach. very, very, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to put them in the light, a male coach. So we were doing business planning and how to maximize your schedule as a busy CEO. So, okay, 45 minutes. He taught us exactly how to build our week, day by day, hour by hour, the entire week. And I just waited there and I was like, and the room was like, I think we were just two women, all of the boys. Again, that's why the future of business is female. Until it's 50-50 in every single room, we need to work on things, right? So I just waited and I asked him, sorry, so with I love this the schedule, that's great, what do we do on 3-4 days when I'm bleeding and I can't get up and I need to vomit and I have cramps? And before that, the week before that, I was in my luteal phase, so I couldn't sleep because my progesterone was low and I was sleeping 4 hours. And I wake up and I need to get a nap when you've planned meetings because I feel like shit. And then, besides that, what are we doing if I am pregnant? And what are we doing if I just gave birth and I'm postpartum? And what are we doing if I'm breastfeeding? And he was like, um, I don't know. I was like, exactly. You don't. So this is really important. It's important for us to have leadership that includes I can't believe it. I think women need to wake up a little bit more and be angry about that.
Mhm.
Can you imagine we have normalized a society that doesn't take these things into consideration? But can I ask you a question? What would happen if this was men? If men were giving birth, if they were breastfeeding, if they had periods, if they had perimenopause and menopause, they have andropause, I get that, but
Mhm.
it's nowhere close to what women are going through. How would leadership in the workforce look then?
Yeah, I think very different because whoever the decision makers are, so we just need more women in leadership.
We need more women in leadership, but we also need men who advocate for us as well. I have a chapter in the book that is called The F Word, so for feminism, and I speak there that everybody should be a feminist. We need more men who are feminists as well, who say, wait a minute, women are so different than men. How do you go to work when you're cramping? How do you do all of these things? How do you do it when you grow a little tiny human in your body? Why are we supporting war, but we're not supporting life? Because everybody seems to be pro-life in the States. Are you? Or you're just pro-birth? That's two different things. Are we really pro-life? Because if we are, then we're not going to pay to fund genocide and wars, but we will pay to fund mothers, parents, families,
Mhm.
dads as well. Like we will support dads as well. We will have paternal leave as long as maternal leave paid. Let's advocate for that. Let's advocate also for dads being at home because the dad is so important as well.
Yeah. You've said so much. I don't even have anything to say except for thank you so much for going through all those phases and explaining because I think this is new information for me and maybe new information for a lot of our listeners.
It is a new information for so many women. And I'm like, isn't that strange? Because it's in your body most of your life.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I know people want to get your book. Might want to connect with you for other things. So this is the part where you tell us, how do we connect with you? Do you have services you're offering, and where do we get the book?
So the book, I highly recommend that you get it through our special link. So you can get on Amazon and get it on Amazon. But if you go to my website, that officially I'm going to announce that we are doing rebranding. And so the new website is called thebrilliantwoman.com. So if you go to thebrilliantwoman.com, which will be available in 2026 after the rebrand, if you use our link to get the book, you actually get a free workbook as well, which I highly recommend because you will have the exercises and the workbook as well. And if you want to connect with me, I'm on social media. You can find me on Facebook as Ayo Nova. You can find me on Instagram as Ayo Nova. shoot me a DM and connect with me. I am the kind of a person who is very approachable. Like a lot of people are like, how are you still in your DMs with the kind of businesses that you're doing? It's very important for me. Again, this is how a female leader operates. I'm all about real connection, real relationships, caring for people, being there to listen to someone who has something to say. So just reach out and you can discover more of the amazing ways that I can support you.
Right. Well, thank you so much. So now I have a personal question.
Yes.
What gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life at this point?
Life itself gives me a lot of happiness and fulfillment. Just going to bed and saying, you know what, you did a good job today. My relationship with myself gives me a lot of joy and happiness because I know it's a constant. It's something that will always be there. I know that joy and happiness are things that they come and go in life, and depending on the stage of your life, there are different things and different people and different experiences and different emotions. But what's a constant is the fact that I have built a really beautiful relationship with myself, enjoying life and living life as just seeing it as this beautiful play, this beautiful theater play that we're all playing and we're performing, and it's just so much fun. Even when it's not fun, you're still like, that's an interesting play.
Mm-hmm.
The script is interesting.
That's for sure. Sometimes very interesting.
Sometimes you're like, who wrote this?
Mhm.
Certainly it wasn't my higher self. I don't remember agreeing to that. And then you're like, well, you know what? Just play the game. It's like when you go on a roller coaster, and I hate these things. You guys in the States, you love them. I'm like, how are you guys getting on a roller coaster? And you get on top of it and you're like, oh, it's gonna be so much fun. It's like life. You get on top of life and you're like, it's gonna be so much fun. And then it starts happening and you just shout and scream and shout and maybe you even vomit a couple of times. And then you get out of it and you're like, oh, we should do this again next week.
Yeah, that's how we are.
And that's how life is, you know? People,
Hmm.
I was chatting to a friend the other day. I was like, you know how when life gets tough and you're like, I never want to come back to this planet again. I'd rather be like a light beam somewhere in the universe. And then you look back and you're like, this was actually fun. We should do it again. We should come back again to this planet and have some fun again and play this game again.
Yeah, that's what we do. Well, thank you so much for being on the
My
podcast
pleasure.
today and sharing your book and all your knowledge.
Thank you for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to speak to such a beautiful light being like you.
Well, thank you. So I have one last question. What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
Well, I think I just said it in the previous one is just bettering the relationship that you have with yourself. I think that we are limited in controlling all of the things that happen to us and the circumstances. I think we play a game where we've agreed to play the game of life that has some set rules and we need to play sometimes by the rules, and the rules are not always comfortable and they feel awkward, but you just got to play the game. You know, when you play chess, there's certain little rules, and so is life. However, you can pretty much determine what kind of a player you will be. And so I think that the rule to live a fulfilled, happy life is just to learn to live with yourself and have the best relationship with yourself and be your best friend. Because, you know, I've come to realize this in 2025. I've been my best friend this year because for a very long time I wasn't my best friend. Like I was judgmental, I will criticize myself, I will be way too harsh, or sometimes I will allow myself things and I will be like, this is self-love, this is self-care, where actually it's not. It is bad mix of dopamine and serotonin, which wasn't a good decision in that moment. So it wasn't actually good for me. But being your best friend is going to make such a big difference in life because when you are, you know, about to depart this planet, you will look back and you'll be like, at least I had a great relationship with myself. And we spend the most time with us. I mean, we're locked in this thing the whole time. Might as well enjoy it. Might as well, you know, look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, You're doing a fine job and you look great. Today you have a great hair day and you're awesome. You're doing good. Or be like, hey, buddy, we're not doing very good today. Let's try and do better. So I think this is the secret really to a great life.
Great. Thank you so much, Ayo.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again soon.